I take a few deep breaths, willing myself to calm down. I'm one of the most normal-looking people in the school, but I still have to be here. Sometimes I almost wish I'd lost a hand or something. At least then it'd be obvious that I belong. But instead, I don't even look sick. Even now, trying to catch my breath, I just look out of shape. Amy looks back and notices my state of distress. "You're not going to die on me, are you?" she says. "Please don't. It'll all be my fault, and I don't want to have to deal with that kind of guilt. Besides, after the last time, I really don't think I need to see that again, especially because the nurse would totally say it's all my fault." Nah, I'm fine," I say. "Guess I needed to start running after all." "And you wanted to keep eating your greasy whatever it was," she says. "See, it's a good thing I found you, right?" "Yes, it was." "Maybe," I say. Of course, I don't add that I wouldn't be in this state if she hadn't dragged me across the festival grounds. Further conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of Rin. "Oh, it's you," she says. "Hello, Amy." "Hey, Rin," she says. "I brought Hisao along because he was going to give himself a heart attack." "I was not," I say. My objection goes unnoticed. "We stopped by to see how the mural turned out." Rin nods slowly. "Well, it's right there. You can see it pretty clearly." I find myself wondering how long Rin's been standing here in front of the mural. Has anyone even stopped by to look at it? Are we the first ones? Obviously, we're not the first to see it, of course. I mean, it's pretty big. You'd be hard-pressed not to see it. At the same time, I don't think anyone's actually talked to Rin about it. Anyone but us, that is. I feel compelled to say something. "It looks pretty good," I say. "I'm still not happy with how it turned out," she says. "But I guess it'll do." She seems almost resigned to it. I'm not sure what she expected as a result, but I guess she didn't quite get there. We stand in front of the mural, taking it all in. I tried my best to concentrate on the composition of the thing. It's actually fairly interesting. The colors swoop and blend together, dragging me along with them. There's a dreamlike quality to the whole thing that makes me almost feel sleepy. I try hunting out some of the colors Emi and I grabbed for her. Try as I might, I can't see any Prussian blue. Oh well. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. My feet start to hurt, but Rin doesn't seem inclined to move on. Amy speaks up. "Hey, Rin, have you eaten?" she asks. "Of course, you can't survive otherwise." "What about in the past 5 hours?" Amy continues. "Maybe, but I'm hungry again, so maybe that means I'm wrong." Amy grins and claps her hands together. "Good, come get some food with us," she says. Rin nods in assent. "Okay, but we should hurry before they notice I'm gone." Somehow I don't think they'd care, whoever they are. As we head back to the food stalls, I cast a longing eye over the fried food. No, I'd better not. I'm pretty sure Amy wouldn't let me anyway. We find a nice spot on the grass and sit down to eat our purchases. Well, my purchases anyway. Somehow I've wound up paying for all the food. Surprisingly, my unfried food is pretty good. Silence falls as Amy and I eat, and Rin stares at something or other, occasionally eating a bite or two of her food. I finish my meal first and lay back on the grass. Amy glances up from her food. Tired, Hisao, she says. A little, I guess. Well, don't oversleep or anything tomorrow morning, she says. We start our morning runs, remember? Actually, they'd slipped my mind. I was actually just enjoying myself. Wandering around the festival with these two has actually been fun. Yeah, I say, I'll set an alarm. You'd better be there, she says. I'll get angry if you aren't. God forbid, I'd say. I don't think God comes into it, Rin says. Unless there's some kind of freak accident and your alarm clock shorts out. That might be a random act of God. Well, don't cause any random acts of God then, Emi says. A plan forms itself in my mind. It's a plan that makes me feel kinda guilty, but I throw it into execution anyway. Damn it, I've earned a little fried food. And anyway, I'm gonna start running tomorrow, right? So the actual routine all starts then, not now. Ergo, the dietary portion starts tomorrow too. Ergo, I can have something unhealthy today. A sort of final farewell to all the stuff I used to eat with wild abandon before the hospital. Actually, I say, I suppose I should head back to my room. I had some homework to do, and if I'm going to run in the morning, I should make it an early night. Those narrowed eyes again. You sure you're not just going to sneak off and buy some of that fried stuff over there, Amy asks. Nah, I'm too full to bother now, I say. I pat my stomach for emphasis. Besides, you two've cleaned me out anyway. Amy giggles. It's a surprisingly pleasant sound. Another pang of guilt. She's got to know that I'm lying to her, doesn't she? Or is she just that trusting? I feel kind of like a monster. All part of my master plan, Hisao, she says. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Thanks for the food and for keeping us company, she says. And here I thought she was doing me a favor. Rin nods in agreement. I won't say see you tomorrow because that would be like predicting the future, and I'm pretty sure I can't do that, she says. Okay, I say. Bye, you two. I feel oddly glad that I decided to leave my room today. Not a bad way to start my second week here, I suppose. Once I'm sure I'm out of Amy's line of sight, I make a beeline for the food stands and buy some cake. At least it's not fried, right? That's slightly better than what I was planning to do. I still feel a little bad about lying to Amy, though. She really does seem concerned about my health. I'll make it up to her somehow. Better head back to my room. Hey, I do have work to do. My book waits for me, and I flop down onto my bed and read through the fireworks display. Eventually, all the walking around, or more accurately, running around, catches up with me. I really am out of shape. Amy dragged me out in the morning to run might just be a good thing after all. It's something to look forward to. My alarm's beeping shatters the early morning quiet, and I find myself wondering where to find the motivation to rise. Class is still quite far off, but I agreed to run with Emi in the mornings. Really, I'm not that interested in running as a hobby or even as a possible life-lengthening exercise. However, I feel obligated to follow through on my promise to Emi yesterday, which is why I find myself throwing on some running shorts and a light t-shirt. The cool morning air caresses my face as the morning sunshine causes the dew on the grass to sparkle, nearly blinding me at first. As I make my way down to the track, an ugly thought strikes me. What if this is some sort of joke that Amy's playing on me? Would that surprise me, really? Hell, I'd probably do it to the new guy, too. At the very least, I'm sure Emi and Rin made a bet on whether or not I'd actually show up. I feel a sense of trepidation as the track comes into view. "You're late," Emi says. It would seem that Emi is already there. What a relief. "Not according to my watch," I say. "We're both are early, in fact." "Damn, you got me there," she says. Emi is sitting on the bleachers, decked out in her running gear, waiting somewhat patiently for me. "I'm glad you're actually here," I say. "I was afraid that this was a joke or something." "Nah, I'd never make someone get up early for nothing," she says. "Plus, Rin owes me 500 yen now. She didn't think you'd actually show up." I knew it. Nice to know Emi was on my side, at least. Emi hops off the bleachers and begins stretching out. She's remarkably lithe, almost like a dancer. I set out to stretch as well, but then realized that I don't exactly remember how to stretch properly. It's been ages since I stretched for anything, if you don't count my one stint at running last week. And even then, I don't think I actually stretched beforehand. The specter of my long hospital stay rises up again. I can't say I was all that active before the hospital stay, though, so maybe I'm just being morose. Emi giggles as she watches me stretch out. No, Hisao, you've got to hold it for longer than that," she says. "I'm trying. It kinda hurts a little." "Ha, that's because you're out of shape," she says. "You've got to get some flexibility in you, like this." To demonstrate, Emi reaches down and puts her head through her legs. "God bless you, Emi." "I see," I say. "Is that the sort of thing I should strive for?" "Of course," she says. "Flexibility is important for any runner. You'll be able to go faster the more you stretch out." That makes no sense to me, but Emi seems to believe it's true. With Emi's help, I managed to stretch myself out properly. I can't help but notice that when she thinks about how to explain things to me, her mouth scrunches up in concentration. It's adorable. "Not bad, Hisao. Come on, we better start running." "We'll start off with just a mile, okay?" "That's 4 laps around the track, got it?" "That sounds fine to me," I reply. This shouldn't be too hard, right? A hazy memory of running a mile for gym class surfaces in my mind. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Emi sets a pretty good pace, and I fall in behind her. "Try to keep up, okay, Hisao?" she says. "Roger." We round the first curve without incident, though I can already feel my heart rate increasing slightly. By the second curve, I've started to breathe through my mouth. Emi doesn't even seem to be breaking a sweat. As if to punctuate her superiority, she turns around and starts running backwards. "Are you doing okay, Hisao?" she says. "Never better," I reply. "Oh, really? Maybe I should speed up then, "Oh, no, wouldn't want you to hurt yourself." My heavy panting and wheezing makes the statement less convincing than I had hoped. Emi simply smiles and turns around again. You're the boss, Hisao. We'll stay at this pace. I get the feeling that I'm being mocked. If I weren't in such terrible shape, I'd probably feel offended. By the third lap, my breath is coming in ragged gasps. I'm also awash in my own sweat. Gross. We round the curve to start our fourth lap, and Emi looks back at me with a grin. Here we go, she says. She takes off at blinding speed while I stubbornly stick to my slower pace. By the time I get to the first turn, she's already rounding the second. As I struggle across the backstretch, Emi continues running and catches up with me. Come on, Hisao, you can do it, she says. I'd answer her, but I'm too focused on getting air into my lungs and ignoring the burning in my leg muscles. Part of me wants to say something like, maybe you can, but I'm about to die here. But again, I doubt I can actually form words right now. Emi keeps pace with me as I round the second turn and cross the finish line. Her sprint seems to have gotten her sweating. It's actually caused her shirt to turn slightly translucent. It seems she wears a black sports bra. I feel a vague stab of guilt for being the sort of guy who stares at a girl's chest, but my legs and chest are burning so badly I can't bring myself to care that much. Not bad for a first effort, Hisao. Kind of you to say so. Emi seems to be, if not out of breath, at least breathing a little more heavily than she was before we started running. It must have been the sprint that did it. Hey, she says, I've got to get a few sprints in. You should walk around the track to cool down. Then we can stretch out and we'll be all done, okay? Sounds great. My legs are on fire, my breathing is still heavy, but surprisingly, my heart seems to be taking the strain well. Another triumph of medical science, I suppose. You should put your hands behind your head, she says. It makes it easier to catch your breath. Surprisingly, she's right. I begin to stroll around the track, happy to feel my breath coming back to me. There's a blur as Emi sprints by me. Watching her run is absolutely fascinating. It's not just because she's on prosthetics, though that is interesting. The really interesting thing is the way her face changes. I can only catch glimpses of it as she runs by, but her eyes seem to come alive with a sort of fierce joy. It's as if there's nothing else in the world but her and the track. By the time I've gotten to the final stretch, Emi seems to have finished her sprinting. She's breathing heavily now, but she's wearing a satisfied grin on her face. She waves to me cheerily as I near her. Feeling better, right? She says. Actually, yeah, I say. Do you want to take another lap with me? She asked. I've got to cool down too, you know. Part of me would rather sit down and not move, but something tells me that would be a bad idea. Besides, if I sit down, there may be no getting back up again. Sure, I say, why not? Amy's got her hands behind her head now as well, which makes her seem very relaxed. The positioning of her arms also pulls her shirt upwards ever so slightly so that I can see a small strip of her belly. I do my best to act the gentleman and not look, but the contrast of her skin against her red running shorts is rather arresting. So how do you feel, Hisao? She says. Surprisingly good, actually. I'm sore and tired, but surprisingly good. As soon as I say it, I realize that it's true. Sure, part of me wants to lay down and die, but I feel like I've accomplished something. It's almost like a glow throughout my body that persists despite the soreness. Yeah, she says, that's the runner's high. Runner's high, I ask? Yeah, it has something to do with adrenaline? Emi thinks for a moment as we walk, trying to remember. Then she shrugs and grins at me. I don't actually remember it. It's a good feeling, though, isn't it? Better than sex, right? I opened my mouth to respond shortly before processing what she's just said. Emi watches my face for a few minutes before bursting into laughter. Sorry, she says. I couldn't resist. You're just too easy. Why did I agree to run with you again, I say. Emi just laughs harder. She takes a hold of my forearm and tilts it, allowing her to get a better view of my watch. Her face changes the moment she sees the time. Oh no, we better get a move on, Hisao. Class is in an hour and I need to shower. I should probably do that as well, I say. I need to see the nurse too, she says. Maybe he'll write me a note for being late. Why do you need to see the nurse, I ask. Emi points to her prosthetics as if that should explain everything. It's important to check for irritation, she says. You know, from sweat or friction or anything. Normally, I only go after practice, but if we're going to be doing these morning runs, then I guess I'll see him twice a day. Wait, so Emi has only started doing these runs since I showed up? If it's more convenient for you to run with me at a later time, I say. Don't be silly. I've been meaning to start running in the morning for a while now, she says. But if I didn't have a partner to run with, I'd be less likely to keep up a routine. It's always harder to blow off a commitment if you're going to let someone else down, you know? So you'll be my running partner for the mornings. We both need the exercise, so it all works out, don't you think? Yeah, perfect, I say. Did it have to be me, though? Well, I guess I can't complain too much. Emi's pretty fun to hang out with. And she's right, I do need the exercise. Doctor's orders, even. Emi waves a quick goodbye to me. Right, I'm off. Come and have lunch with us, okay? She says. What? I say. Lunch, you know, the meal in the middle of the day. Come have it with us. Where? I say. The rooftop. Rin likes it up there. When? Lunchtime. When else? She says. That was a silly question. Yeah, but I sort of felt the need to ask all three for completeness' sake. Emi laughs and grins. I don't think I've ever seen a girl smile so much before. Not bad, Hisao. See ya. With that, she takes off like a shot for the school building. I guess she's going to see the nurse first. So the festival is continuing, and we wander over to see what Rin has been working on. What is it we've been helping her gather materials for all this time? Quite an interesting mural. The people putting together Katawa here did a pretty good job as far as capturing what something like that should be like. You will notice right in the middle, though, there is a censored area I had to do because 3 painted nipples come across the screen, and we're just not wanting to take any chances here on YouTube at getting stuff banned or dings or anything like that. I've seen other things less than that happen that people have had their videos taken down for, so we're just not going to take any chances. Hopefully it's fairly subtle. I just put 3 sliding mosaics that covered the thing as it went across the screen, and it just brings up wonderful America. How, if it had been a mural of a woman having her eyes plucked out with a spoon while someone in the background was disemboweling a child, that would have been perfectly okay, but God forbid we show a nipple anywhere. It does raise an interesting quandary with the sex scenes that will be coming up with the girls later, but I do think I have an idea of how we're going to handle those as well, because other than one scene, they are integral to the story and to the characters' relationships. There's just one that is gratuitous, shall we say, and even it captures a bit of the person's personality and is done for the laughs more than just titillation purposes. Then it's off down to the track where we start our first day of our running program with Emi. And it goes rather successfully. We don't have any problems. We engage in a little light bantering and flirting going on. And we develop a new appreciation now that we actually see her running. develop an appreciation of perhaps just how much it means to her, and what a important aspect of her personality her runs truly are.